Welcome to Bite-Sized Stories. Today, we have Geraldine. The morning sun drifted softly into the kitchen window as Geraldine sat with her coffee. The aroma of the fresh pot smoothed the air in the room, bringing peacefulness into her old, well-worn heart. She knew that most people preferred the K-cups these days, to make one cup of coffee at a time. But for her, the burbling, simmering pot created a tiny hint of joy and a reminder of her college years, when she and Matthew would lie together as the sun rose, jostling each other and joking about who would have to leave the bed first, who would be the most devoted to their love. Typically, she recalled Riley, it was her, moving nimbly and quickly across the cold floor as Matthew laid back, lit his cigarette, and watched her go. That was so many years ago, she thought, as she stared off into the distance, her gaze soft and unfocused. So much had changed since that time. For one thing, she wore heavy socks now, to protect her feet from the frostiness of the tiles. For another, she no longer skipped youthfully towards anything, even her morning coffee. Today would be a good day, she decided. A productive day, filled with lingering items from her to-do list, but also from her want-to-do list. That list, the want-to-do list, was how she maneuvered her way through the world, how she managed to keep herself going. As a matter of ego, she was determined to keep the list growing, rather than letting it wither away with the typical passing of time. Adding to the list was easier said than done. It required direct, conscious engagement with new people and new ideas. It required the right amount of caution. She didn't want to add unrealistic tasks that would afterwards haunt her as they stared back at her every morning, unrelenting in their lack of achievement, their lack of a strong, aggressive tick mark next to them. But she did want to add challenge, to urge herself out of her house and into the broad, bustling world. Tasks needed to be concrete and definable, but also fluid and open and just a little bit wild. Currently, Geraldine was focused on color therapy. How oil pigments and watercolor pigments and acrylic pigments swirled together to create blues and greens and oranges, but also browns and peaches, and the oft mischaracterized skin tones of those around her. She loved this project, as it allowed her to experiment with giant canvases in her sunroom, and also to quickly and assertively assess all of those around her. No, she would think to herself about the lady in front of her at the shop setting her bananas down onto the conveyor belt. You should never wear navy. But fuchsia, oh my! You would look gorgeous in fuchsia. Occasionally, if the moment was right, she would proclaim her thoughts out loud. Her daughter hated this, of course, as she believed it to be the height of rudeness, but Geraldine was undeterred. People should know what suits them, she thought, as it would brighten their aura and draw others toward them. Still, she knew how to pick her targets wisely, something her daughter, in her youth, would never understand, and was generally rewarded with gratitude and laughter. That last piece, the laughter, was also on her list. She wanted to make people laugh. In delight, of course, which was the goal for this week, but also in astonishment, as she had worked on in prior months, and in knowing solidarity, and in commiseration, and in pure, raucous comedy. These were different skills, she knew, and as she mastered them, she meticulously checked them off her list, replacing them each time with a new one, a more challenging one, a more nuanced and complex one that reflected the wisdom and accumulated experience of her life, one that was as complex as the painting of skin tones.